So for this first exercise, you'll need to download the Exercise 1 Newspaper Templates PDF. And it looks like this. What we're creating are 5 different templates for common newspaper sizes. So for each thing that we create, you'll be making 5 of them, all different sizes, and also each one will have some different paragraph styles that we'll set up inside of them. I'm going to work through the first couple of them and show you how to set it up and get it done really easily. But just know, when you're finished, you should have 5 different template files that you'll make in Iveydesign. Let's jump into Iveydesign. We'll go to File and create a new document. And I'm going to keep this open in the background so I can see what I'm working on. I've turned off preview so that nothing will pop up. We'll keep the number of pages set to 1 and also make sure facing pages is checked off. For the size of this one, so we're going to start off with the American tabloid. We need this information. It'll be 10 1/4 wide by 14 1/2 tall. As far as the number of, or for the margins, notice that my unit of measure is in picas, so you can type that in. 3P0 are going to be on the same for all sides, top, bottom, inside, and out. And since I've got it linked up, this will put the same thing in all of them. Now 3 picas is equal to 1/2 inch, so when I type that in, notice that it automatically corrects it to there. As far as the number of columns go, we want it to be 5 columns, and we want it to have a gutter spacing of 1 pica, 0 points, which is the equivalency of 1/16 of an inch. There's not going to be any bleed or slug on these, so we don't have to worry about that, and we'll say OK. This is the way our document should be set up. The next thing we need to do is to establish our baseline grid. To do this, you can go up to Iveydesign, down to the Preferences, and open up your Grids preferences. From here, our baseline grid will allow us to have a vertical and horizontal, a horizontal grid going across our entire page. We want to start it 0 inches relative to the top margin. This will keep everything inside of our margins. And for this particular one, if we go back to our instruction sheet, you can see our baseline grid is going to increment every 12 points. And this is for the American tabloid. So we want to make sure increment every 12 points for that. And we'll say OK. To turn on visibility for your baseline grid, go to View, down to Grids and Guides, and Show Baseline Grid. Now, even though it's turned on, we still can't see it unless we zoom in. So Command +. When I zoom in, you can see this are the blue lines that go all the way across. As you set these up, just be aware of the increments and what I'm looking for each of the different sizes. The British tabloid will have the same increment for their baseline grid, but for the Berliner and the 2 broadsheets, it's going to be a little bit thicker. Let's jump back into Iveydesign now. The second part is to establish some paragraph styles for each of the different body copy and the 2 headlines that you have. To do this, we need to open up our paragraph styles window. So I'm going to jump back into Iveydesign, and so that I can see it, I'm going to minimize this for now. I've got my paragraph styles window open up over here. If you don't see it, you can always go to Window, down to Styles, and there's Paragraph Style. By default, you always have a basic profile or a basic paragraph, but let's establish the body copy for this one. Make a new one. Double click on Paragraph Style 1, and here's where we can type in all of the options. Give it the style name, in this case body copy. It's not going to be based on any style, so we'll keep that at no style. Then go to your basic character formats, and here's our character formats that we need. So the font name will be Minion Pro. We'll keep it regular. The size of it needs to be 11 point. And the leading needs to be 12 point. For the alignment and the first line indent, we're going to go to Indents and Spacing. Set your alignment to be left justified. The first line indent is going to be 0.875. And align to grid, we're going to align all the lines to our baseline grid. When we say OK, that will establish our body copy for what we have. This means every time I place some text into here, let's put some dummy text in there, go to Type, Placeholder. All I have to do is select my text, click on Body Copy, and it automatically formats it to that particular setting that we need. Okay, once that's established, we need to make 6 different headline styles. And we'll pull this back down so we can see it. For the American tabloid and British tabloid, we want headline styles for serif and for sans serif. When you start creating your broadsheets and your Berliner, use these body copy and headline styles down here. Since we're working on the American tabloid, let's make a new paragraph style. It's going to be called Style 1. Double click on it. Give it the name. In this case, this will be our small headline. So headline, I'll do serif small. So this is our serif style. It's not going to be based on anything, so we can set this back to no paragraph style. For this first one, choose basic character formats. It'll be Minion Pro Bold. So Minion Pro, choose bold. The size of this is going to be 20 points. We need to type that in. And the leading needs to be 24 point. One thing to notice, however, if you go to indents and spacing, it's still kept the same alignment and first line indent as your body copy, and we don't want that. So let's set this back to left and set our first line indent to 0, and we can also turn off our align to grid. When we say OK, that will establish our small serif headline formatting. Let's do the same for a medium headline. Create a new one, double click, we'll call this medium. Headline serif medium. It's going to be based on nothing. Go to your character format. It still remembers Minion Pro, but we do need to change the size to 30 points with 36 point leading. And just to make sure our indents and spacing are okay, left and 0, that's all good. Now we'll say OK to that. I've established that one. Do one more for headline large. Let's use serif large. Based on nothing. Character format for this one is Minion Pro bold, and this will be 50 and 48 for our leading. Say OK to that. So now I've got 3 different headlines for our serif. I'm going to pause it right now and create 3 more headlines for our sans serif. The only difference is that the font that we're using is going to be Myriad Pro Bold, but it'll also have the same size and format for each of these. So let me pause for now. Okay, so now jumping ahead, I've got headlines for serif and sans serif medium, small, and large. And I also have some paragraph styles for my body copy. Once we're done with this, we can save this file as a template. Go to File, down to Save, or Save As, since this is the first time. And we're going to give it the name of what the template is. In this case, it's the American Tabloid template. For the format, however, make sure you choose InDesign Template as that particular style. Once it's saved, notice INDT is the style that we have. Hit Save. And this will save everything that we have from here. Since it's a template, when I go to open it up, this will make a new document, automatically giving me the right size, the column format, and even the baseline, and even my paragraph styles will be saved in it as well. Now, to save time, I'm going to close this document out. Notice I still have my American Tabloid template set up. I need to make my British Tabloid template. We'll scroll back to the top. The only difference between the American Tabloid and the British Tabloid is the size, the margins, and the gutter width. Everything else is going to remain the same. The baseline grid will remain the same, And also our paragraph styles are going to remain the same. So we can actually use the existing American tabloid and just change it up and save it as a British tabloid. If you don't want to do this, you can always start this process over again, create a new file, and type everything in and save it over again as well. But let me show you how to set it up based on what we already have. So here's our American tabloid. I'm going to go to File, down to our Document Setup, and here's where I can change the height and width of my document. So the width and height of this one needs to be, let's go here, 11 by 17. Let's jump back into here. By 17. We'll say OK. That'll change up that particular size. The margins for this one needs to be 3 picas on the top and bottom and 2 picas 3 points on the inside and out. To change up the margins and gutters for a document, you can go to Layout, Layout, Margins and Columns. And remember, in this case, we want our top margins to be 3p0 and our bottom margin to be 3p0, which is the same as ½ inch. Here's a little glitch that's showing up. It should say inside and out right here, but there's nothing showing up. But I know they're both the same thing. So we're going to type in 2p3 and 2p3, which is 3/8 of an inch on the top and bottom. As far as our gutters go, we'll keep it at 5 columns, but in this case we want 1 pica, 1 point, and say OK to that. Once it's done, we can also now save this as a British tabloid. I've already established my paragraph styles, so I can go to File, be sure to choose Save As, and this will let me change the name of it. So instead of American, let's do British tabloid template. Again, we're going to choose the template style and do Save. And that will save that out as well. I'm going to close this out. Just remember, when you establish the Berliner and the US broadsheet, those are going to be not just different sizes, but also you're going to have some different paragraph styles to incorporate into those. It may be easier just to repeat the process that we went through and type in all of the information over and over again. This will also give you some practice of creating new documents and setting them up properly. But just know there's always a little bit faster way if you wanted to do that. Once you're finished, save all of the documents and you're going to upload each one to Moodle. There should be 5 templates that you'll upload, and they should look like this, INDT.